The recording has started.
All right, and welcome back to Thursday Free Call with Dave. I am so excited to be here. I'm coming to you live from my home in Sarasota. It is beautiful, beautiful weather. Listen, I got YouTube going. I got 2 pages on Facebook going. I got the free conference call. I got the Instagram on. Hi, Instagram. All right, so fantastic. We are live. We're set to go. And today I want to talk to you about 13 tips to solve cash flow problems. I'm talking with a lot of my clients, my coaching clients, and they are having an issue with cash flow, some of them. And so I poked around the internet and found 13 tips to solve cash flow problems by Scott Beaver, Senior Product Marketing Manager. And I thought these are all really good. I teach a lot of these already, but I just compiled them in here. So we are going to talk about that today. So thank you so much for joining us. Facebook, please hit share. I see a lot of people already on Facebook. Some people are already on Instagram, and people are watching or listening. Appreciate everyone in on this. So go ahead, click share. Go ahead, make sure this message gets out to as many business owners as possible so that we can have more cash flow, so that we can spend more time with our family and friends, because after all, that's why we do business, is so that we can spend more time doing the things that we want to do instead of have to do. Okay? But you have to do things before you're able to do a lot of the things that you want to. James Weaver says, cash flow, yes. Who doesn't like cash flow? All right? It's crippling when you don't have cash flow. So I have 13 tips. These are not original with me. Like I said, I found these on the internet, but I do teach a lot of these before I even saw these. But yeah, we're going to go into it. The comments will be a lot my comments and how to interpret what this person here, Scott Beaver, says. So I want to give credit where credit is due. Scott Beaver, Senior Product Marketing Manager. And it doesn't say for what company. But 13 tips to solve cash flow problems, okay? Money not flowing is crippling to a business. I'm sure everyone would agree on that. So first one, let me get my banners up because I can do this now. Isn't this so cool? The first tip is, number 1, use a monthly business budget. Okay, I know that doesn't sound fun. It doesn't sound, exciting. It doesn't sound like this is something that entrepreneurs and businesses want to do, is using a budget. But if you have a cash flow problem, it's one of the best things you can do, is figure out where is your money going. And so I'm going to read here. If your business is seasonal or cash flow tends to follow a cycle or annual budget and cash flow statement, it can shed a light on just how much money you'll need each month to pay reoccurring bills. So a lot of times it's because we where we're at, because and that's why we have cash flow issues. We just don't know where we're at. And so we can't project. It's kind of like a GPS. A GPS has to know where you are at before it can tell you how to get to where you want to go. And that's the same thing that a budget will help you to do. It kind of organize everything in your mind. I'm not saying if you have a cash flow problem that you're not organized, but I'm saying that if you become more organized, it may help your cash flow problem. Does that make sense? All right. You'll need to save money from the high revenue months to cover overhead during lower revenue months. Okay, so if you start tracking it, see, I know that the winter months are my cash flow. I mean, like, that's where I make my money, is the cash flow is in the winter months. The summer months is I have to kind of ration it out a little bit. I can't just, I can't buy anything that I want to during the summer months necessarily, because it's a slower time of the year for my business. Okay. Number 2, access a line of credit. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this one, but if you have a cash flow problem, you need to get a line of credit. It seems like every time that I talk to somebody that has a cash flow problem, I'll ask them, do you have a line of credit? And they say yes. And then my next question is it maxed out? And I'm pretty much knowing that they're going to say, yes, it's maxed out. Okay. That's when you know you have a problem in your business. It's not just a cash flow business or problem. It's a business problem. And that's where you need to hire somebody like me to come in and help you find out what is the real challenge in your business. But access a line of credit. If you have limited cash flow, one solution is to set up a line of credit. You can do a credit card or a line of credit at the bank. You'll have money to spend that you can pay back during better months in your business cycle, but you have to manage that. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of people just max it out and then just make minimum payments on paying it back, and they're never able to have that, being rebuilt. Okay, so we want to make sure that it's rebuilt, that you're paying it off pretty much on time every month. Okay. Number 3, invoice promptly to reduce day sales outstanding. Okay, so or just outstanding sales. So you'd be surprised how many business owners that I talk with. I ask them, like, how far are you behind on your invoicing? And they say, oh, we don't want to talk about it. They're very behind on their invoicing. You got to stay on top of that. Listen, if you're not the type that likes to sit at the office and crunch numbers and fill out reports and do all of this stuff, hire somebody to do it. Seriously, guys, do what you're good at doing and outsource what you're not good. Do what you enjoy doing in your business and outsource what you don't enjoy, because if you don't enjoy it, you probably are not going to be the best at it. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that, that a business owner never has to just buckle down and do some of the stuff themselves. But if it's a problem, listen, there are people out there that you can hire for $15 to $30 an hour, depending on the industries, that love to sit at a desk and input invoices and use QuickBooks and all of these things. I don't do that. My time is better spent out making it rain and coaching and talking to people and bringing in new clients. I have somebody that's really good at accounting and all my book work. So that's the key thing. So invoice promptly to reduce sales outstandings. I'm amazed that sometimes they call me for cash flow problems, and I say, well, how much are your accounts receivable? And I hear, $200,000, $400,000. And I say, well, what is your accounts receivable system? They say, what do you mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, you got to have a system. And what do I mean by that? I mean by, what happens after 30 days? A lot of companies have a net 30. What happens after 30 days? What pain am I going to feel if I owe you money after 30 days? It needs to be significant, okay? So I've helped a ton of companies increase their cash flow just by helping them get their accounts receivables up to date, and by putting in a accounts receivable system that really just helps them collect that money. And so there's some people that as long as the pain is not there, they're going to just let it ride. But the pain has to be real. It has to be, seriously real, where they pinch you and you feel it. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have a accounts receivable system. What happens after the net 30? Does it go up every month? 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever. It has to get their attention. And then how do you cut somebody off? I mean, so we have that whole system in place that we can teach you and help you put that into your business as well. So you want to make sure that you have the accounts receivable in a system and have somebody running that system. All right, let's go to the next one. We're going to go through these pretty fast. Stretch out payables. Okay, so that's one way that you can do it is. And now this is on the other hand, like if you have a cash flow problem and you need to pay your bills and you can't, the best thing to do, and I know it's one of the hardest thing to do, is call them up and say, hey, listen, I'm struggling right now. I have a lot of accounts receivables, but they're just not in. Can I, you want to be honest with this, of course, but can I stretch this out, or can I make some terms? How can we work together to where you win and I win? So the best thing you can do is to communicate with the people that you owe money to. Because don't you wish the people that owed you money communicated to you? Yes or no? All right, type it in, yes or no, right now. If you want your customers that owe you money to communicate with you and just say, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. And can we work something out? Type it in, guys. I want to see if you're watching. I have 18 people watching us. Just want to make sure that that we are all live and ready to go. So I think we're live on Instagram. I just have to check afterwards because I don't want to turn it off at IM. So let me see. 10-4, Merlin Troyer says. All right, that's a yes. Awesome. Sounds good. Let's go to number 5, reduce expenses. Okay, so 13 tips on how to solve a cash flow problem in your business. One of the best ways to do it is just reduce your spending. Like, figure out where you're spending the most money and see how can we cut that in half, or how can we cut that in a quarter of the amount? How can we shave it off a little bit? All right. So I see 2 more. Quentin Slothauer says yes. Samuel Hostetler says communication is the key. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right. So stretch out payables, and number 5 is reduce your expenses. So that's one of the biggest things that you can do, is look at where your money is going and say, how can we cut it in half without sacrificing quality? What can we innovate? What kind of system can we put in? It might that faster. So there's all kinds of things that we can do to reduce your expenses so that your cash flow flows. All right. So I'm not going to read all of these. I'm just going to have some comments and questions around them as well. Let's go to number 6, and I'm gonna talk on this one for a little bit. Number 6. This is one that I teach relentlessly. Raise your prices. Listen, I often ask the question, which would you rather make? $5,000 from 10 customers or $5,000 from 5 customers? All right, type it in. Type your answers in. Which one would you rather make? 5 for 10 or 5,000 with 5? Type it in. Let me know what your answers are. All right, 5 with 10 customers, 5,000 with 10 customers, or 5,000 with 5 customers. Let me know. James Weaver says, I'm quick on the invoicing. Good point, but trucking industry is typically net 30, which means the check may be in the mail 45 days after the delivery. All right. James Weaver said he's rather make 5,000 with 10 customers or 5,000 with 5 customers. I think I would rather make $5,000 with 5 customers than to make $5,000 with 10 customers. Okay. So maybe you misunderstood me, James, but I think most people would want to do 5 for 5 because you're not making as much money per customer as you are. Okay, so what I mean by that is you have 10 customers and you make 5,000, or you have 5 customers and you make 5,000. I would rather have the 5 and 5. So raise your pricing. So a lot of times when you raise your pricing, we think as business owners and entrepreneurs that, we're going to lose a client. We're going to lose all of our clients. Well, you probably don't. You probably don't want to. Lose your customers, but you probably even won't. Okay, you won't lose as many customers as you'd think. I was just talking with somebody recently, just right before this call. I asked him when was the last time he raised his pricing, and he said since June he raised it at 10%, going up 10. James Weaver says he's going for 10 customers at $5,000. Well, yeah, if you can have 10 customers paying you $5,000, but let's say you only have 5 customers and you make $5,000 versus you have 10 customers and you make $5,000. I'm curious why you would want to make the same amount of money with 10 customers versus 5 customers. So type that in with your answer. I'm curious. Quentin says the same thing. I would rather have 5 customers and make 10,000 than to have 10 customers and make 5,000. Just my opinion, because I can always grow that, and I'm not spending all that energy servicing those clients. All right, and let me see. Let me mute somebody here.
All participants are muted.
There we go.
They can unmute themselves.
Okay, let's move on to raising your pricing. And so here's what happens when you raise your price. You don't lose customers. This customer that I was talking to said he raised it since last June, raised his prices 10%. I said, how many customers did you lose? None, he said. And I said, are you more busy now than you were back then? He said, absolutely. So when you raise your prices, you raise your profile as well. And so you want to make sure that you're current on your pricing, and you get a higher level client as you get a higher level price as well. All right, number 7, upsell and cross sell. So a lot of people know what an upsell is, but very few people know what a downsell is. Okay, so I'm going to talk about upsell, downsell, and cross sell. An upsell is when you're at McDonald's, and you actually you go through the drive-thru and you order a Big Mac, and the person says, hey, listen, do you want fries with that, or would you like to supersize it? Would you like to add more? That's an upsell. A downsell is this. It's when somebody comes in and wants the Big Mac supersized and they can't pay for it. You tell them to come back down to just a regular size or knock off the fries. Instead of letting them walk out the door without anything, you actually downsell to a little bit more of their size or their style or their brand, whatever that you're selling. So a cross sell is when you have your customers cross-selling for you. So let me just read this. Increasing sales is an easy way to boost your cash flow. It's an even easier when you're selling to customers who are already fans of your products or service. 2 classic approaches: upselling or selling upgraded and more expensive products or service to the same customer, and cross-selling or finding ways to sell different products and services to the same customer. So when you have different products and for different customers. So here's the thing with upgrades. I'm just going to tell you, when I started my coaching company, I started at a very, very low price, and I couldn't give it away. I literally could not give coaching away because it was so cheap. I raised my price, and people started looking at it and said, what do you have there? Sorry, phone call. Said, what do you have there? And I'm like, so I raised my price again. And finally, this actually happened. A person that put up his nose at the cheap price bought the exact same product when I raised it the 3rd time. Okay, so when you upgrade people, we've had clients go from our lowest program, finish that up, and stair-stepped all the way up to our highest program. And you have to upgrade people. You got to take them along with you on the journey of your growth as well. And so it's called an ascension plan. So that's one of the ways that you can upsell, is by stepping them up to a higher level of service. So it might be a club. I was working with a furniture outlet. And, they had some customers that came in, and over their lifetime, they spent well over $200,000 worth of furniture with them. And so we created different levels. Like if you are below the $100,000 mark in your lifetime, you're just a regular customer. You get no breaks. If you're above 100,000 to 200,000, somewhere in that range, you're in the silver club, and you get a discount every time you come in. If you're above 200,000, you're in our gold elite program, and they have some higher. We all went all the way to black being the highest one. And so that's a way to upgrade people, and they have to actually pay for that club. So it's a very dynamic thing that we built for them, but it's working. Okay, it's working really well. So upsell, downsell, and cross sell, like, you bought this, so you might want to buy this. Okay, Amazon does that really well. You buy something on Amazon and scroll down a little bit, it'll say customers that bought this also bought this. That's what you need to learn to do as well, because it will help you to sell more to your people. And that's one of the 3 ways that I teach: increase price, decrease overhead, and sell more to your existing customers. Offer more products, more service, more goods to your existing customers. Number 8, accept credit cards. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you, and most of you probably do this, some of you, depending on your industry, may not accept credit cards or online payments like the next one. It's number 8 and 9 are kind of the same, online payments versus accepting credit cards. When you're able to do that, you are going to increase your sales dramatically because it's buy now. Okay, you can do it right now. And you're going to increase your cash flow as well because you have your money a lot quicker. Okay, let me check the comments here. Quentin said, I misunderstood you. I agree. Merlin M. Troyer says, less horses in the barn, less to deal with, less eggs, more eggs in your basket. Mark Yoder. James Weaver says, I agree with your numbers, Dave. I misunderstood your initial point and intended to go for the 50,000. Yeah, of course. I'd rather have 10 customers paying me 10,000 or customers paying me 5,000. But I'm saying, would you rather make 5,000? If that was your only choice, 5,000 was your limit. Would you rather have 10 customers or would you rather have 5 customers? I'd rather have 5 and make the same amount. Got it. Thank you. All right, accepting credit cards. The next one is accepting online payments. Listen, that's a beautiful thing, man. I love online payments where people can go shopping on your shopping cart. In fact, you can go to my website, empoweringsmallbiz.com, and go to products, and you can buy any of my books, any of my products, even some art with some of my quotes on it. Let's see, what else do we have? All kinds of disc material. We have the assessments. We have all kinds of other things on it. So please go there, empoweringsmallbiz.com, and then the products page. And you can accept online payments. That's a beautiful thing. It goes straight into my bank account. I don't have to deal with it. So that's another way that you can increase your cash flow. Number 10, maintain a clear view of inventory. All right. So a lot of times you don't even know what you have. A lot of times people have no idea how much inventory they have, and they just keep buying stuff and adding to their inventory because they don't know. So maintain a clear view on your inventory. Number 11, cut costs by identifying waste. Woo, that's a big one. All right. Figure out how you can become more efficient. How can you get more mileage with the same truck? That's what I want you to figure out. How can you get more done with the same people? How can you get more done with the same machines? Anytime you walk back and forth, that's waste. Okay. Now, I learned this in the cleaning industry. We trained all of our staff to come in the front of the house, and you just hug the right wall, and you go around the house that way, and you clean from your right all the way around to your left, and you take your caddy with you. If you back up, if you leave your caddy in the first room and you need it in the second room, you shouldn't ever have to walk back to go get it. That's waste. That's waste energy, time, talent, production. And so think about and talk to your people about how can we become more efficient. It might be moving a machine from here to here. I've done that before in a company and increased their production rate from 8 units per week to 18 units per week out the door. We just simply did a swap on the machines because I noticed the flow, and I noticed that they were having to bring it back to this one. I'm like, why would you do that? They said, well, it just fits better. I said, no, move it that way, move this one over a little bit, and then everything should flow through. This is a production facility, but think about, does your business flow? How is it inefficient? Really think about that. So the next one is, I forgot to put it on the ticker there. So 11 was cut costs by identifying waste. Number 12, improve profit margins with vendor discounts. Okay. Now, a lot of people already know this one, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it but here's the deal. If you're buying a lot of inventory from a vendor, ask for a discount. Like, figure out how much you've spent with them over the past 20 years or 10 years or a year, whatever it is, and say, listen, we've bought over $100,000 worth of products from you in the last 2 years. We need a break. We need a little discount. So because that really does make a difference. Anytime you can improve your profit margins, you'll have a little bit more cash flow. And so buy volume and ask for discounts. Number 13, improve invoicing. Okay. Are you on top of your invoicing? We kind of talked about this one already, but the more promptly you send out invoices, the quicker you'll get paid. So I think that's a huge thing. A lot of times clients that I have are behind on their invoicing, and they're not going to pay you unless they get an invoice. And you need to have that system. All right, very good. I am on a time crunch. We have 4 minutes left. I'd like to do this in 30 minutes or less, and I'm going to cut it off early. Thank you all so much. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Everyone that is watching, thank you very much. God bless you. Let the cash flow. It's a beautiful thing.